so much. We're in the middle of the summer season here when families are heading to the beach and hitting the water. Families may protect themselves when in the water by using life jackets or maybe wearing brightly colored clothing to be visible from the shore. But how do you protect yourself from shark attacks, and is it a likely possibility? Well, here to help answer these questions is William McKever, Manhattan resident, shark lover, and author of Emperors of the Deep. William, thank you so much for being here. I feel like when you do a shark title, you need to do it with the dramatic voice. And you say that sharks are misunderstood. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, Alex, what I mean by that is that I think there's a perception when people go to the beach that sharks are somehow off the shore patrolling along the ocean looking for humans to attack. They're man-eaters, and that's just wrong. Sharks are interested in fish. They're not interested in us. And this idea that was perpetrated by Jaws that they're out to get us is just wrong.
Hence my deep voice. That's exactly what I was thinking. What made you and motivated you to write this book?
Yeah. You know, I stumbled on a shark tournament off of New York State, and I saw these beautiful sharks that were hung up like common criminals and executed. And I decided that this was something that people needed to understand, that these are magnificent creatures. So I went out, studied sharks, and wrote a book about it to bring back the truth about sharks.
So let's go through some of the myths. You do myths and facts in your book, and I wanted to point this one out. You say last year, to your point, humans killed 100 million sharks, while worldwide there were only 4 deadly shark attacks.
Yeah, that statistic says it all, that it's the sharks that should be afraid of humans and not the other way around. We cause more damage to sharks. You know, they've been around 450 million years. They're in their greatest threat now than they've ever been in their history due to humans. So when people go to the beach, they really shouldn't be thinking about sharks when they're going swimming.
I know, because I do. And so it's interesting to hear you give this dichotomy that maybe we're the ones that are invading their space versus the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wilderness area we're getting in.
You also talk about some 500 new species. Did I see that here too, that the scientists are now finding?
Yeah, well, there are 500 species of sharks that are out there.
That they already know of.
And in the last 5-10 years, they've been making amazing discoveries about these animals. For example, we now know that great white sharks can dive to 4,000 feet. To put that into perspective, a U.S. nuclear-powered submarine can only get to about 1,700 feet before it implodes. So these animals are just remarkable. They travel around the oceans and go on treks of thousands of miles. So we are to admire and respect these animals. And also, more importantly, they're very important to the marine ecosystem. They help to keep the seagrass and reefs healthy. And that discovery tells us we need these sharks desperately to protect the oceans.
Now, recently in our area, there's been some shark attacks. Last year, specifically, 2 children were bitten on Long Island off of Fire Island. Beaches were closed. How should people process that when you think about that these, animals are here in our area?
Yeah, I think what people should do is put this into perspective. There are literally hundreds of thousands of people swimming in the ocean any particular day. And when you consider that in New York State, there were only 2 shark attacks last year, it shows you how minuscule the odds are of being attacked by a shark.
What kind of sharks are here in our area? Is there specific species for our region?
Yeah, New York State is blessed with the Gulf Stream, so in the summertime we get great whites that go up the coast and tiger sharks, but usually the sharks that are here are very common, dogfish, for example, and you get sharks that are really harmless to people. So sharks are out there. They've been out there for 450 million years. They're not going away, thank goodness, because we need them, and it's not something to even consider when you go swimming.
Okay, let's say that you do want to consider it, though. Okay, let's just, for the sake of argument, say that I want to think about it. Right. What do I need to do to protect myself if I'm going out? Is there anything I can do?
Yeah, I think there are some things to do. Sharks are nocturnal animals, so don't go swimming at night and in the early morning hours or early evening. You want bright, sunny days where visibility is very clear, because sometimes sharks make mistakes when the water's really cloudy and they can't see. And so I think if you just very simply do that, you'll be just fine, Alex, and you don't have to spend any time considering swimming in the ocean.
Okay, so you actually have a dive planned at the end of July. You were not going to be in a cage, and you're going Long Island Sound. Is that where you're headed in?
Yeah, so I'm going out. There is a shark cage diving operation in Montauk, and I plan on doing that. I've been diving with sharks. I've wrote the book over 2 years.
So you are in a cage?
At that one, and other times I have not been in a cage.
Oh my gosh,
And,
you're so brave.
Well,
what do you want to learn?
I wish I could say that, Alex, but the reality is that it has nothing to do with bravery. It's just that I've had this magnificent opportunity to study sharks for the last couple of years, and I've been with them without a cage, and I've realized that they're really not out to get us, that they're actually beautiful animals that we need to respect.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. We look forward to reading your book. I know Vanessa does specifically. She's chomping at the bit over there to get her hands on it. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks for having me.
Coming up, we'll have a rundown of this week's